The text is returned exactly as requested. Change your mindset. Change your life. At a bustling train station, a beggar lived by asking passengers for money. One day, he noticed a tall, well-dressed man. Thinking that this wealthy-looking man would give him a generous amount, he approached and started begging. However, instead of giving money, the man asked, "You always ask from others, but have you ever given anything?" The beggar was surprised and replied, "I am poor, I have nothing to give." The man smiled and said, "If you cannot give, then you have no right to ask." Then he boarded the train and left, leaving the beggar sitting there, deep in thought. The words echoed in his mind, "Am I not receiving much because I have never given anything?" After days of contemplation, he decided to try something different. One day he picked flowers growing by the roadside and gave them to those who gave him money. Surprisingly, people happily accepted the flowers and gave him even more money. From that moment, he no longer begged for money but began trading with flowers. That was the turning point in his life. A new mindset, a small action, opened up an entirely different path. From beggar to entrepreneur. After deciding to change, the beggar still wondered, "What can I give?" 2 days passed, and he still hadn't found an answer. On the third day, while sitting near the train station, he saw flowers blooming by the roadside. Suddenly, an idea struck him. Why not give flowers to those who give me money? Excited by this new idea, he picked some flowers and started his experiment. Whenever someone gave him money, he cheerfully handed them a flower in return. To his surprise, people were delighted by this gesture. They not only accepted the flowers with a smile, but also gave him more money than before. From then on, every morning, he gathered flowers and brought them onto the train. He was no longer just a beggar, but had become a flower seller. Gradually, he realized that the more flowers he had, the more money he could make. This small change not only helped him earn a better living, but also made him feel valuable. He was no longer begging, but had started a real job, a stepping stone toward a different future. The turning point. One day, while offering flowers on the train, the beggar unexpectedly met the man who had once changed his mindset. This time, he was no longer just a beggar, but had something to exchange. He walked up to the man and said, "Today I have something to give you. Please give me some money, and in return I will offer you these flowers." The man smiled, handed him some money, and accepted the flowers. He said, "Wonderful. Now you are an entrepreneur, just like me." Those words once again touched the beggar's heart. He realized that his changed mindset had changed everything. He was no longer a hopeless beggar, but someone who could create value. As he stepped off the train, he looked up at the sky and shouted, "I am no longer a beggar. I am an entrepreneur." People around him looked at him with puzzled expressions, but he knew for sure that he had found a new path. From that moment on, he was determined to expand his flower business. He no longer picked wildflowers, but started buying more to resell. Before long, from being a poor beggar, he became a flower merchant, building his career with a new mindset. The text is returned exactly as requested. The journey from begging to success. 6 months later, at the train station, 2 well-dressed men were having a conversation. One of them looked at the other in surprise and asked, "Have we met before?" The other man smiled, shook hands, and said, "Not just once, but twice. Don't you recognize me?" The first man looked closely and suddenly realized, "You are the beggar I once met. The first time, I didn't give you money. The second time, I bought flowers from you. But today, you look so different. What do you do now?" The man laughed and replied, "Yes, I was once a beggar. But now I am a flower merchant, on my way to another city to expand my business." He continued, "Because of you, I learned that only by giving can we receive. I realized that I was never truly a beggar. I was always an entrepreneur. I just hadn't seen it yet. I used the money I earned to invest in selling flowers, and now I have succeeded." The 2 men smiled and continued their journey, carrying with them a valuable lesson about mindset and transformation. The lesson of success. The story of the beggar turned entrepreneur is not just a personal journey, but also holds a profound lesson about mindset and change. At first, he saw himself as a poor man, living off the kindness of others. But when he shifted his perspective from asking to giving, he created real value. Giving flowers to those who helped him not only made them happier, but also led him to receive more in return. This reflects an important principle of life. We only receive when we learn to give. The rule of give and receive applies not just in business, but in every aspect of life. When we help others, when we offer value, whether through kindness, knowledge, or effort, we in turn receive goodness in some form. Moreover, the story emphasizes that how we perceive ourselves determines our destiny. If we think of ourselves as small and unworthy, the world will see us the same way. But when we believe in our abilities and dare to take action, opportunities will come. The journey from a beggar to a successful entrepreneur is clear proof that no situation is hopeless. Only our own mindset can limit us. Daring to change our thoughts, taking bold actions, and believing in ourselves is the key to unlocking the door to success. Mindset determines destiny. The story of the beggar turned entrepreneur teaches us an important lesson. Success or failure does not depend on circumstances, but on how we see ourselves. Initially, the beggar only saw himself as a poor man, surviving on pity. But when he changed his mindset, he realized that he was not just someone who asked for help. He was someone capable of creating value. Through giving flowers, he understood the give and receive principle. When we give, we receive even more. The biggest transformation was not in the money he earned, but in how he saw himself. When he started seeing himself as an entrepreneur, the world also began treating him that way. The lesson is clear. If we believe in our potential, act with determination, and refuse to limit ourselves, we can change our fate. No dream is too big, no situation is impossible to overcome, as long as we dare to think differently, act boldly, and believe in ourselves.